y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here. And hey, welcome to a recap and review of the Real Housewives of Potomac Part 3 of the reunion special. Yeah, there was a lot going on in Part 3, and I have to say, I'm actually really was into this whole reunion special. I know it's probably hit or miss for some people, but for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, so we're just gonna get right on into it. I would like to know your thoughts, so of course make sure you're dropping them down in the comment section. Did you watch the reunion special? How did you feel about it? What were your thoughts about it? And I just kind of want to go through, basically how the evening went, how we started, where we went to, and how we got off this crazy train called the Real Housewives of Potomac. But I felt like it did not disappoint. So that's my not so humble opinion. So also, I have to add, okay, so in full transparency, you're gonna probably see the part 2 and part 1 after part 3. See, here's what happened. I had did part 2 for last week and had it all packaged up beautifully. And in the world of editing, which is, yeah, so it was all done, all packaged, got to the point of going ahead and transmitting it, and yeah, complete flop, lost all of that footage. As far as the edited and put together packaged footage, I do have my raw footage, so I'm going to make an attempt to re-edit and put it out there, because look, there was conversation to be had and I enjoyed the conversation, so I want to know your thoughts about each one of the episodes. So thank you so much for your patience on that. Sometimes things happen and you can't help it, but I just really am pressed to want to put that out there and just have it as part of the collection, and have the opportunity to talk about it and all that good stuff, because there's a lot of information on all 3 of the shows that I felt that really can carry on a conversation for quite some time. So there you have it. So back to part 3. Well, I was pretty excited about part 3, I have to say, because I was excited for Miss Jacqueline to make her appearance on the stage. And she didn't disappoint. She did not disappoint. No. It was quite interesting to see how she could come back with the best of them. At the end of the day, she really, I feel, is truly and genuinely hurt by what appears to be right now, if not a full-on demise, at least a break, a severe break at that, of her relationship between her and Mia. She had shared, her and Mia have been best friends, I think, since the age of 15. Mia's family took her in. She's like a sister more than just a friend and part of their family. And so she is really, really hurt. And, at this point, it doesn't look like things are going to get much better for them. And it really didn't start off that way either. So as we're starting, Jacqueline comes, sits down. She is ready, locked and loaded, if I do say so myself. I think Mia looked a little worried. Her face kind of showed it a little bit, that she didn't know really what was going to happen. Or maybe she did and just was trying to, strategize how she was going to come back with any type of response for all of the treachery that she did throughout the season, in my opinion. But they first started talking about, well, honestly, Jacqueline started putting out the fact that, look, I think that you said a lot of nasty things about me. You said my house was in foreclosure, you bought my car, I'm on food stamps, and none of those things are the truth. In reality, no, she's not on food stamps. She owns her own home. I believe she's the CEO of her company. Mia kind of put some information about that later on in their conversation. And like she said, hey, look, I'm in my home. You do not have one, right? We all know that's true. My business is doing fine. Yours is not. And so much so, you're not even in your business anymore. And, Mia did speak a lot about the breakdown of that situation in part 2. So I'm going to leave that full disclosure of conversation in my part 2 video, because I talked about it there. But yeah, so we talked about that. We already know about what the blogs are saying and what Mia said about the demise of the partnership between Gordon's brother and Mia, all 3 of them, as they were in the joint chiropractics. So yeah, that was an issue. And Jacqueline also shared that, we all know that you're not the CEO. That was a bit of a bombshell dropper for me. I don't even think I even realized that no one else would have been the CEO, but maybe I missed something. But yeah, she said, no, Gordon's the real CEO. So of course, Mia took total defense to that, and said, no, I am, basically the CEO. You see it all over her face, that's not true. So that was really a lot of back and forth in that. Then of course the ladies bring out their bedazzled silver boxes, all ready for all the many receipts, and they were just ready to go. Now here's the funny thing. For me, the best receipt giver, deliverer, hands down for me was Potomac, is Monique in that binder. I'm sorry. You can tell me down in the below comment section. Let me know if you agree. But as far as receipts and the layout and just the presentation of it all and just the professionalism of it all, to me, it goes down to Monique. Matter of fact, Jacqueline was ready to go. I mean, she was pulling out papers, pulling out left and right? And Mia was like, you know what, I'm pulling out one thing. I don't even think Mia really talked about it. She put that back in her box and then put it off to the side, so I don't even go into it. But Jacqueline said, no, I'm here for it. Look, I got time. I got time tonight. I got time tomorrow. Heck, I got time for the rest of the week if you need it. So yeah, Jacqueline further goes and shares about the fact that, then there's issue about the fact that you said I was sleeping with married men. And Jacqueline swears up and down that she has not slept with a married man. And Andy asked her directly. And she says, no, I'm not, and I'm not sleeping with a married man, right? So, que sera, we don't know really if she did, if she isn't, who knows? But she says she didn't, and Mia stands by her claims. We all know Mia's a little bit hard on the truth, right? Yeah, sometimes it's non-existent with her, or she skews it. Yeah, so it's sometimes hard to know if Mia is telling the truth about anything. So you let me know your thoughts. Do you think that there's anything that Mia said about Jacqueline that was truthful? Let's go on, shall we? So Jacqueline also further shares about the fact that not only does she not sleep with any married men, not only does she own her home, and not only does she have her own business and is CEO of her business, she also owns her own car. Yes, because you remember within a few episodes ago, within the meat of the season, there was this issue about the car and whether or not Mia purchased it, or Mia and Gordon purchased it, and then it kind of diluted itself to maybe Gordon had provided a down payment for the car. Not 100% sure, all that muddleness, but they did speak about it. And at the end of the day, Gordon never said in that scene that they kind of did a flashback on that, yeah, I gave you the money. He just said, hey, something about Mia loves you. And, in other words, whatever arrangements was made, it was because of your connection with Mia, I guess. But she was able to pull out, the note says, hey, look, this is my car. It's in my name. Now, just because you have a car and it may be in your name doesn't necessarily mean that you're the one that purchased it. But at the end of the day, this is what she's saying. And look, Mia wasn't really disputing that. And I think when Mia was put up on the ropes with that, she really did not go any further with that. She just kind of just let it lie. Yeah, she really didn't talk much about it. Then Andy, as shady as he wants to be, asks, hey, look, and is he shady? No, these are things that we would like to know about, right? Because these are things that were brought up in some kind of way. One of it was, hey, did Jacqueline, have relations with Gordon? Jacqueline says, no, I did not have relations with Gordon. And so it was kind of funny, the lady's disposition during hearing that proclamation, if you will. But again, Robin, I believe, stepped in and she said, look, you kind of were a bit coy about whether or not you did or not. And let's be for real, right? Jacqueline and Mia, they did play on a lot of things, right? It was about this kind of cloak and dagger move about what they do and don't do in their personal time that's not so personal. So, all for storyline, maybe it's what they do. Who knows, right? But that's what she was actually very emphatic about, the fact that no, they never were together. And yeah, and honestly, when the conversation morphed more into about just the married man overall, Mia basically backed down from that too and said, look, I'm going to leave that alone. I mean, here was the opportunity, right? I mean, she had so much to say during all the other episodes, but at this moment, she decides, you know what? I'm not going to touch that. I'll leave it where it's at. Also, not to mention that there was, I guess, some communication about Mia. Maybe Mia was trying to share, maybe in social media, about her connection to the family, how much she loves the family, in particular Jacqueline's mother. And I guess she had said something about the fact that she had spent Mother's Day with her, and Jacqueline had receipts for that. Some type of text messaging looked like, basically stating, no, you did not spend time with my mother for Mother's Day. And then Mia backed down from that too. And, they said, well, I talked to her for an hour. I don't know, what is it, Mia? Which one? Make a choice. What are we doing here? And so I just felt like Mia just really, maybe because of all the backlash that Mia's been receiving, that she probably just did not want to go there, right? Maybe she just felt, I don't want to dig any deeper of this situation. I don't want to go any further because let's face it, Mia did receive a ton of very much warranted backlash for her treatment of her so-called sister best friend, right? So yeah, that was quite interesting how that all played out with them. And the funny thing about it is, even though, like Andy really did speak about, is that, hey, look, it looks like you really, even with all of this going on, you've gained a lot of great friends. You just lost your sister in the whole thing. So he was hoping a reconciliation would happen with those ladies at some point. And Mia pretty much says, no, I'm done at this point. And Jacqueline's like, no, I'm not interested. I think one of the other ladies looked at her and was like, kind of asking her, like, kind of on the slide, yeah, maybe. And no, not really, not at all. But I did find it also be funny that after all of those things were basically stated one after another, it was pretty quick, in my opinion. Mia pretty much backed down, let Jacqueline say whatever she wanted to say, and that was really about it. They did ask a question though, right, about whether or not Mia and Jacqueline ever had relations with each other, and they both said no. They just like to mess with each other, they're girls, they hang out, and this is that, and that was all it was. So yeah, I mean, of course, there was a lot of play into, if you've been watching the season, right? It was a lot of bringing that up and talking about it and making it an issue. And some would probably say that, well, Mia needed a storyline because her entire world on the other side was really crumbling to dust, honestly, right? With the businesses and all those things, because I believe that a lot of that information about what was going on with that really reared its ugly head throughout social media, right? Throughout anything outside of the cameras. There wasn't a lot of conversation about that on the show, because on the show she was opening another joint chiropractic, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it was a lot going on with that. But so yeah, that's really where they left it with Jacqueline and Mia. Wasn't much more to say about that. I think they covered everything that was in question. Obviously we know that from Jacqueline's perspective, her family's perspective, that they are extremely hurt by what Mia has said, the things that she did. You obviously saw Jacqueline. I mean, to me, I felt so much for her, because I felt like her life was, not her life, but her world really was just crumbling. And I it's almost like, maybe they came in with a plan on how they were going to be, and Mia maybe pulled the rug up from under her a little bit, and it caught Jacqueline completely off guard, and next thing you know, it was full attack mode on Jacqueline. And so that was really unfortunate, and I just feel like Jacqueline is extremely hurt, and again, warranted. And yeah, so there we have it. In part 2, Jacqueline had shared that, her mother has not seen any of the episodes. She doesn't want her mother to see any of the episodes. But the other family members are very upset, at Mia. So yeah, I think that Mia just kind of just let it go and really left it to be, say what you're going to say, because she's done said everything that she needs to say. Maybe Jacqueline, of course, they've been best friends for so long. Jacqueline really knows a lot of the secrets, right? She knows where all the skeletons are buried. So she probably wanted to be a little careful, because she didn't want to tell her every single thing that's been going on, especially about that business situation. But even with that, I think Jacqueline did not really tear in as deep as she could have. But a lot of what we now know is that, of course, they're not living in Potomac at this moment, I believe. Yeah, they're not, and they have a lot of different homes and stuff that they did have around different locations that they've had to, obviously sell or give up or whatever, what have you, to kind of downsize until they can, really rebuild back up. But, I think Mia and Gordon are hustlers, and I think that somehow they're going to make it work, and, we'll see what happens with that. And so at that point, Jacqueline pretty much exits, and Wendy, in her shady self, is so funny, but she's basically saying, hey, look, go ahead and pass me over those receipts you got. Because you never know, right? You never know with these ladies. You don't know what you're going to need to use and what ammunition needs to be available to you for them to start some mess about non-existent stuff. At least this way, when he's got receipts, and she can say, look, go ahead and say something about my husband again. Go ahead and say something about my marriage again. Okay, go ahead and come up with another lie about something about me again, and watch me drop all these truths on you. So yeah, that was kind of funny. I think that was an enjoyable moment, actually. Oh, and just another thought I'm just thinking about, part of why Mia was also upset about the married man concept is that she had shared that she felt that when her and Jacqueline were having that altercation, verbal altercation, I think it was mostly on the flight from Potomac to Miami during that trip in the earlier part of this season, that she was taking a dig at Mia, right? About that she needed more, more loving, we'll just say. And, you know, Mia then shares with us at the reunion that, well, you know, she felt upset, and that's why she went after her with that, because she felt that she went after her by going there knowing that Gordon was a prostate cancer survivor. So, you know, very happy for the fact that Gordon was able to get through that, because that's such a, you know, horrible disease and horrible ordeal to have gone through. So yeah, I'm glad that he's doing okay, and you know, many blessings for him throughout his continued surviving of that situation. So you know, it really hit home for me, and that was the first time I had heard anything about that. And but a couple of the ladies had pretty much, you know, had acknowledged that they had knew about that. So, you know, at the end of the day, now we have a little bit more of a reason why she felt how she felt, whether Jacqueline meant to go there with that in mind, you know, to hurt her. And I don't know if that's really what she meant to do. I don't think she was really thinking about that, but you know, we don't know, right? We don't know any of these ladies like that. But you know, Mia most certainly took it to heart to feel that that was her reasoning for going after her, and she wasn't having it. So yeah, she wasn't having it. And I also appreciate the fact that when they were talking more about the married man situation, because we all know that Mia has now basically sold everyone, including all of us as our loyal viewers to the show, that yeah, she, you know, messed with Gordon when he was married. So, you know, the conversation opening up like, how can you chastise someone else for doing the thing that you did? Shouldn't you close your legs for married men? And she says, look, yeah, I should have. I didn't, but I probably should have. But I own that. I'm not denying that. So there's that. So then as we kind of do a little bit of a break from that segment, we clip to Charisse actually getting ready in her dressing room, and the young lady that's doing her makeup and her hair and all that good stuff is asking her basically how she feels. You know, it's been about 4 years since Charisse has been on the show, and 4 years since she's been on the reunion stage. So she wanted to get a feel for how she felt about, you know, being out there with all the ladies. And, you know, Charisse says that, look, hey, I'm fine. You know, at first I thought I would be nervous, but I'm actually okay. And at the end of the day, you know, I love all these ladies, or at least most of these ladies. And, you know, because she was asked, you know, is there anyone that you don't want to see or that you're excited to see? So she kept it pretty positive. She said, look, I've got good vibrations, you know, but at the end of the day, there may be one, as the shady cameraman then connects us to Karen. So we all know that that's no mystery, right? But that's basically who she's talking about, that, you know, there's at least one lady that might not be so happy about my presence here. But, you know, hey, look, we're not vibing, you know, we are in different vibrative situations, and the bottom line is I have a higher vibration than her, so, you know, there. And she was in there with her daughter and everything, so it's a little bit of a shady, fun moment, but, you know, yeah, it looks like Charisse was ready to go. So then we get to Charisse actually getting back on the stage, if you will, the stage of shenanigans. But she is very happy. She really is feeling in herself and her element. You know, it was a nice little reunion between her and Giselle, of course. I don't think that's any surprise. You know, Giselle and her had a lovely meet. They allowed, really, for the seating situation, you know, for Chriselle, for Charisse to sit next to Giselle. So that actually, you know, worked out. And yeah, you know, they were just very complimentary of each other. Nothing that we would not have expected, right? And then they kind of went on in to get a little bit of an update. Oh, Charisse did hug Andy, so I kind of got the vibes that Charisse is probably going to be coming back. I don't know, y'all. You leave me your thoughts down below. What do you think about that? Do you think Charisse is only here for just the one episode, or one season rather? Not one episode. She's here for all the season, right? Do you think she's here for just this season, or do you think she's back to stay? And I kind of feel that the wheels are being greased for Charisse to make a return. But after their nice, very friendly hug, Andy asked basically, hey, what's up? We haven't seen you in so long. Catch us up on what's going on. Charrisse does share that she is fully and officially divorced. And I know there was a lot of conversation about how she fared in the divorce, but she said that they're 50-50 split on whatever it is that they had. So I think that's pretty fair, honestly, from the stories I was hearing, that it was, kind of like she wasn't getting anything, and, he left her destituted, and it didn't really feel like that's what happened there. So, whether she's telling the truth about that or not, I mean, it is her business, but she says 50-50, so that was it, because that was a topic of conversation. Then, of course, they go into a little bit more, delving into the connection of Charrisse, because as you all know, there was a huge issue about the fact that Charrisse was basically baited to be back on, and in the attempt to destroy Karen. And yeah, so, there was this huge feeling, I should say, about a huge push to get Charrisse on the show, maybe even to replace somebody. And so, yeah, as they got onto their segment, you realize, if you had watched that, Andy kind of backtracked on that situation and talked about it, clarified it, but we'll get into that in a second. So, yeah, they go to Robin, because I think there's a question from maybe, someone from Twitter or something like that, and asked the question, hey, because Robin really does, ride hard for Charrisse. And so she, shares, basically, yeah, we are really good friends, but, we've known each other since 2002. Apparently, Charrisse's husband was a coach of Juan, Robin's now husband, and for when he played on the Washington Wizards. So they've been tight ever since then. And it kind of makes me think, all right, without knowing all the details, or many of the details rather, I can kind of see why Robin is taken by Charrisse, and the fact of thinking that she's the grand dame. Although mine's is going to be Karen, no slights against Charrisse, but it's going to be Karen for me. But yeah, so anyway, she also goes further to say, look, I go to bat for Charrisse, but yeah, I mean, it's more about the fact that we're friends. And hey, I'm not the only reason why she's on the show, right? She then goes down the list that Giselle loves her, Ashley loves her, Candace loves her. So, what's the deal here? And I was kind of thinking about that, because I couldn't really recall if Candace and Charrisse are really that tight. But apparently, yeah, because I do remember that, if you recall, I believe Monique, right, a few seasons ago, probably Charrisse's last season at the time, had brought Monique on, right? Or they were the friend, they were the connection. That's how she was on the show. And then all of a sudden, they kind of like turned on each other, So yeah, that would make sense that her and Candace would be tight and close. And Candace was, acknowledging, that they're cool. So yeah, that was something that had slipped, because of course we haven't seen Monique in a couple of seasons. I wish Monique would come back. That might not be a popular opinion, but that is my opinion. I want Monique back. I don't care. All the messiness, whatever. I love Monique. I love the family dynamic. I like her and Chris together. They have a beautiful family, beautiful home, beautiful everything, and I just want them back. So if that means that Mia has to take a walkie woo out of here, I'm cool with that, because wasn't it her that replaced Monique, or at least by spot? And let's just face it, Monique is irreplaceable. I don't care. I want her and Candace to get it together, first of all, because I'm so hurt by the fact that they're not friends. I don't understand why they're not friends. I don't even recall why they're not friends. Pretty sure they said it. If you guys know why, drop it in the comment section, because I don't remember. But I want them to work it out. But Monique did drag her, right? Probably no coming back from that. Well, anywho, yeah, I just thought about that. I forgot about that. Yeah, she did drag her, but it is what it is. And I love Candace too. So I just want them to work it out, but that might be beyond. But anyway, so back to Charrisse. So yeah, they go in about, sharing, hey, look, she's loved by everybody. This is what Robin's saying. So, okay, so everybody knows that, Charrisse does have more allies on the show than one may have thought, right? So yeah, that's good. Wonderful. And then we merge into Karen's story, right, of the season. We see the flashbacks of her spring party in the beginning of the season. Then we clip to her 59th birthday and all the shenanigans and scandal that happened during that time, which the Miami trip is what surrounded that time. And then we also saw what everybody was here for when it came to Karen and Charrisse, right? The two titans coming together, and they didn't come together in harmony, let's put it that way. But there was a lot of squabbling, full out verbal going at it about whatever is going on that no one really still knows. There's a lot of innuendos and a lot of stuff thrown out there, but what happened? Like, what is going on? Is it that Karen feels that Charrisse is just not a loyal friend, that she's not authentic, that she's just kind of, there for the cameras, that she thinks she's better than her? What is it exactly, right? What we discuss, I say we discuss like we were there, but what's discussed is, basically it goes back to a point where of Karen's mother's funeral and her passing, and we all saw that if you had been watching during that time, and obviously it's a very heartbreaking situation, and Karen really wants nothing to do about talking about that, and I can understand that. It's a triggering moment for her. But what I can make out from what Karen was saying, really honestly directly, I believe she felt that Charrisse just wanted to make sure that it was known that she was there. And that gives off vibes when you're taking it in that way, right? It gives off vibes that you're not really here for the right reasons. You just want to be looked at as a certain somebody. But Charrisse and Giselle even, basically like that's the furthest thing from the truth. Like, I lost my father, this was Charrisse has shared during the season, and I just wanted to reach out to her, and they had reached out to each other actually in both these times. And so apparently Charrisse was the only one out of the ladies on the show that actually physically went to Surrey County, which I believe was Surrey, and went to the funeral for Karen. So what the fallback is on that, I don't really know, right? We don't know yet.